Yesterday we had reached up to one step here. I think this is already a solution of SCV, so I have done nothing in this, but I just gave the same solution again here. Okay, I don't know if you of my steps differed, but this we can refer from SC Verma also. This one. Okay. Anyway, second solution I gave again that I gave here, method 3, that you can see. This is special, very simple, and we don't have to even change the frame of reference. We don't have to go into a different frame. Although that first method was also very simple, really, and I like that method as well, in which electric field becomes 0. This method is also very simple. I can say AX is equal to EB divided by M into UY. I can write AX as dVx by dy into dy by dt. What is the reason for this unusual choice? Why we are dividing by and multiplying by y? So that dy by dt cancels with dy. So that we have one simple equation remaining, dvx by dy is equal to EB by M. You got this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So why I am writing AX as this? That work we have already done. That is common for all the questions that we have to do first. This AX is this and AY is that. You think that this is a common part for every method. After that, we will do something else depending upon how to solve these equations. There are different approaches to solve these equations, and here I followed the approach in which I first wrote this thing as dvx by dy into dy by dt is equal to EY by M into UY. Then dy by dt, this cancels with this. So we are getting dvx is equal to EB by M into dy, right? And then we can integrate because there are just two variables. 0 to ux is equal to EB by M into y. Next, AY. I know the value of ux in terms of y. I can put it here. And then I'm getting AY as in the form of this. AY is in the form of minus omega square into y minus y naught, the way we do in SHM. Then just I'm comparing which is y naught here. Y naught is E by M. What is omega here? Omega is EB by. Wait a second, let me do it right. Is it right here? Wrong, something wrong.
Sir, Y naught is E by B, sir.
Y naught is not right here. Y naught is
E by B.
if I take EV by, let me write in that form only exactly, then we will come to know. Let me write exactly that form only. AY becomes equal to EB by M whole square taken common minus, and then multiplying with y minus what is left inside. I have taken M square outside and M will go in the numerator. And
E by EB, sir.
E will come in the denominator. And B square will come in the denominator. And E will come in the numerator, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
Right only or not?
Correct only, sir.
Correct only now finally. So then y naught should be equal to, now if we compare this, M E upon E into B square. Then there are some mistakes in the last step also here. I think this is wrong here. Now I know it is a equation of SHM. It is equation of SHM. And particle starts from zero value of, this is y, right? This is y. The particle starts with, what is initial position of particle? 0. That is extreme position 1. How do I know it is extreme position 1? Because initial velocity is 0 in that place also. And when does y gain again 0 velocity? If it is a cycloidal path, it will have 0 velocity here also. at this point. At this point also it has zero velocity, right or not? Along y-axis I'm saying, along x it has velocity, but along y it has zero velocity here. Okay? You can talk. And others.
Yes, sir.
Are you understanding? If somebody is not understanding, tell me. Here it has zero velocity, started with rest, and here also again zero velocity. If I take its projection along y-axis, then it will be executing just SHM along y-axis. Along x-axis, it is going this way, but along y-axis, it is just executing SHM along y. So that is the idea why we are able to do it so easily along y-axis. We are able to get answers so easily. So what is the amplitude of oscillation? Amplitude will be from one extreme to the other extreme distance. And that distance we can get once we know what is the equilibrium position. How do I know what is the equilibrium position? Equilibrium position is nothing but when Ay is 0, that is the equilibrium position. And Ay is 0 for which value of I? For y equal
Y is
to
equals to
y0.
ME by EB
It
square.
means y equal to y0 is the equilibrium position. Y is equal to y0 is the equilibrium position. And from extreme to the equilibrium, there is amplitude of oscillation. Then to the other extreme also there will be amplitude total. Then total distance will become 2a. So I can just write phi max is equal to 2a, which is equal to 2y0, which is equal to 2me divided by e into b square. That should be the answer. Let us check answer was same in both methods or not. See, this is also same. Okay. And this is also same. And yeah, one method which I covered in the beginning only, in that also obviously it should be same only. That was also very simple method in which it was executing in a circular path. How did we do by that method? That is so simple that I can do in one step now also. The first method was like this. MB by QB is the radius and 2y is the radius. Twice the radius will be y max. Y max will be twice the radius. In that case, you know, it was moving in circular path. So I just took it directly twice the radius. Radius R and 2R. Also, I need velocity, and in that case, I have told you that velocity comes out to be equal to E by B, right? Does it come out to B by B or not? Vp is equal to E, so V comes out to be E by V, so it becomes 2me upon Q into Q is E only. Q is E only, so it becomes EB square. This is our solution by the first method. Once you know the details what is happening, then the solution is so simple by the first method. But all these methods have some different story to tell. We are learning something from every method. We are learning a way to solve the equation. We are learning that how can we solve the equation if we have such cross connection. Which is a cross connection. It is the equation along, this is along x-axis, but this is along y-axis. This is along y-axis, but this is along x-axis. And we want to solve these equations together. Then in order to solve these methods we can use. One method would be differentiate these. That was our method 2. Third method, no need to differentiate also. We are just writing dv by upon dy into dy by dt, and then cancelling dy by dt with dy. Okay. These are the methods. Next.
Sir,
Yes.
yesterday I asked a question, you said you would remind me.
Yesterday was a question.
And you said to remind in the class.
I remember that, or let me check again in WhatsApp.
A sphere rotating and suddenly.
Can you send it once again?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I got the point. That is of sudden charge is provided to something, right? That sudden charge question. Right. Where did you get that one? I think from some assignment.
Previous papers. That is from previous chain of papers.
If I have a wire to which I am making a sudden charge flow Q, and magnetic field is, let us say, into the plane. Question could be what distance it would cover along.
Sir,
along any one direction, what distance it would cover if it is kept on a maybe friction surface having friction, something like that it could be.
We asked the
Or it
time.
could be what velocity it gains. What velocity it gains just after Q charge is applied to it suddenly. When suddenly Q charge is applied, and force acting will be BIL. I don't know what is I because they're not saying in what time it is applied. So some students get confused here. They are not able to solve it after this. They are stuck here only. But remember, even though I don't know, I know the length L is given to us. This is the given data. L is given, magnetic field is given, Q charge is applied. Suddenly, Q charge is transferred from one end to the other end. Okay. And Q charge flows suddenly from one end to other through a wire of mass M and length L. The wire of mass M and length. Then force is this, and impulse will be impulse, which is equal to change in momentum, can be found by magnetic force into dt. What would be that? BIL into dt integral. BIL into dt integral. So that would be
IDT is Q, sir.
hmm?
IDT.
E into L into I dt integral, which will be total charge. Now, whatever time is, we don't know in what time it is flown, but still we don't care. We will be getting BLQ is impulse, and impulse is equal to change in momentum, MV. So, what is the velocity gain? BLQ divided by M. What will happen due to this velocity gain? Due to this gained velocity, it may be gaining backward. It may be having, no, it depends on the situation. There may be a situation that they are saying that it is kept on surface having friction. Then we will be acting backwards. Then they can ask what distance it will cover. The maximum distance that it will cover will be b square minus c square equal to 2s or b square by 2 mu g. That is the maximum distance covered by it if it is kept on a friction and surface having friction. Okay, that could be the question. It depends on the situation. For example, this was the question I think once that I had seen somewhere, maybe in SCV only. There are these rails. This is the capacitor having charge Q, and there's a wire here of length L, mass M. So what will happen to this capacitor? We know there is no resistance anywhere. This capacitor will get discharged soon. Will it get discharged or not?
Yes, sir.
Tell me. It will get discharged soon. If it gets discharged zone, then it will send Q charge. We don't know what current flows, but we know what is the charge flowing. Once we know what is the charge flowing, we can still get, and let us say, the friction between the rails and this is given as mu. Or they may give that rails are frictionless and friction is after the rails. So if rails are frictionless, then it will keep on moving with v velocity on the rails. But when it falls on the surface after that, which is maybe ground, there is friction is mu, then on that surface it will cover maximum distance of v square by 2 mu g. This could be the question. Okay. So it can have variation. Some modifications can be there. For example, one modification can be there. I can give the same situation, but on an inclined plane. And I may ask you what's the height gained by it. Also depends how I am keeping B. B should be known to us. Now B is downwards. Then which direction the force will be acting?
Upwards. Positive x-axis.
Force. This side current flows. Then I think QV cross V force is this side, right? If B is into the plane, then force will be acting towards right side. So it is moving towards right. Same way here, how B is kept, where B is kept, all those things we have to keep in mind. Then we can say whether it is moving along the incline or not, and with what force. Always the force will not be BIL, it could be BIL sine theta also. Do not forget that thing. Because in many cases we are taking always BIL, so you may get used to this wrong thing that it will always be BIL only. No, it is not always BIL, it is BIL sine theta. It is IL cross B actually. Let me take one example in which the force will be like that only. This is the case now. This is a wedge inclined at an angle theta. Magnetic field is in vertically downward direction, given as B, and this wedge is making the horizontal angle theta. These are the rails, which rails are in the shape of wedge. Capacitor is C, charge on the capacitor is Q minus plus, and there was a switch which was closed at t equal to 0 to trigger this movement in the wire of mass M, length L. Length L is between the plates, between these rails. That length is L. I don't care what is the extra length because current will flow only through this length. Now you tell what distance it will move or what maximum height it will rise to. Answer this question.
Sir, height of wedge, sir.
What?
Height of wedge, sir.
Height of wedge?
Maximum
Height of
means
wedge is sufficient.
from ground or
Maximum height is sufficient. You don't have to worry about that. I'm not giving you that complicated case where it will go over that and then it will fall and it will follow projectile or something. Not like that. Assume it has sufficient height and you have to find out what is the maximum height attained. Usually, rod was stationary in position shown which S is closed at t equal to 0 and just after releasing a rod on frictionless rails. Initially, rod was stationary in position shown which S is closed at t equal to 0 just after releasing rod on frictionless rail. The resistance rod and rails equals 0. Capacitor has initial charge Q and capacitance. We don't need capacitance, although I think find maximum height raised by find maximum height raised by rod after closing the switch. I have forgotten to mention the rails are inclined angle of inclination is given in the diagram. Okay, something you can see from the diagram. Theta is also given to you. Inclined at an angle theta. Have we got the answer?
Sir,
Yes.
answer I'm getting is
Getting
Q
answer?
QLB cos theta whole square by m square g.
What is the force first of all on this? Now, if you observe from the side view, then we notice how the charge will come. Charge will come towards this dot. And how magnetic field is downwards. Right or not?
Yes, sir.
How the force will be acting then? The force
Upward, sir.
will be acting actually IL cross B. Let me tell exactly which direction I is. I is current is flowing along
K cap.
outward direction. In rod, it means L vector will be, therefore L vector is in K cap direction and B vector is minus J cap. Our usual directions I am taking Y this side, X this side and Z is outwards. Now IL cross B. L cross B will be in which direction? That direction will be K cross minus J, that is equal to I cap. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is the direction of force. So force will be in which direction? Along I cap, along this side, magnetic force. But it has one component which will be making it go up. Which component will be making it go up?
Cos theta.
cos theta component will make it go up. Then what it would be? Now it would be Fm cos theta into dt integral will be the impulse this time. And that will be equal to
MB.
what that will be? B into
LQ by B LQ
I
by M.
into L into cos theta into dt integral, which will become equal to, this is impulse means this is mass into velocity gained along this side. That is B taken common, L taken common, cos theta taken common into Q, that is equal to mass into velocity gain. What will be velocity then? B L Q cos theta divided by M. Okay. What would be the height attained? Height attained, now I can convert after that energy conservation. mgh will be equal to half of m into v square. We can get height attained from where h will be equal to v square by 2g. Are you getting same answer? Nilkanta say. Other students, please tell me, are you getting same answer or different?
Same, sir. Same, sir. Same.
Okay. Same only.
Yes, sir. BL cos theta whole square by 2m square g.
Right. Then right. Then you have understood it if you are getting same answer. H will be finally v square by 2g. Next question. Magnetic field due to rotating charges. That is found by this way. If I have a rotating charge sphere, yesterday I told you how to find out the magnetic moment. Let us say it is rotating about y-axis. It is a rotating charge sphere. What would be its magnetic moment?
So space solved, sir.
Q by 2m into I omega. This solid or hollow
If it
is
has charge q, it is solid. Solid it is.
Q by
If don't,
5
if nothing is
R
mentioned,
Q by
sphere you
5.
should take solid.
Q
Q
by
by 5 into r
R
square
square
omega.
omega.
Omega is the angular velocity. That is the magnetic moment. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, magnetic moment is a vector. And if I have to find magnetic field at an angle theta from this vector, then I can use the same set of formulae which we were using for electrostatic cases. In electric dipole moment case, what I have to do first, I have to resolve it into two components. What would be the components? One component will be in this direction, another will be in this direction. What will be the value of those components? One will be m cos theta, another will be m sin theta. What would be the magnetic field due to m cos theta? If you remember the dipole moment, electrical dipole moment formula, you can tell me. Due to m cos theta, it will be
2k p m cos theta by r.
2 into k m cos theta
cos theta
divided by
r square.
r cube. It is a moment. For dipole, the field is inversely proportional to r cube. Huh? Right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And the other one will be anti-parallel.
Km sin theta by r.
By
Km sin theta by r cube. I don't have to put minus. Actually, it is minus km sin theta by r cube, but I don't have to put because
direction.
already arrows direction is already represented here. What would be the net resultant of these two? We can get the usual way. This is one magnetic field, this is another magnetic field. So resultant will obviously be, this is resultant magnetic field. And value of that will be equal to, if it is, let us call it B, which formula I'm using here? I'm using equatorial one, the equatorial. This is B axial. Then I will be getting B axial square plus B equatorial square under the root. That is the net magnetic field. One thing we should keep in mind that this K is different from the last K. This K is not 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This K is mu naught upon 4 pi. And its value is equal to 10 raised to power minus 7. What is it equal to? 10 raised to power minus 7. And it is not the Coulomb's constant, obviously. It is not 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, but it is mu naught by 4 pi. This is the different constant for this
So what
case.
is mu
But
naught?
mu naught is called as magnetic permeability of free space. It's just a constant for you. Just remember it is just a constant. And if you want to know its name, that name is called as magnetic permeability of free space. It is similar to epsilon naught. Epsilon naught tells us about electrical permittivity, which I don't know why we call permeability and not permittivity. What name is permeability for this? Means epsilon naught tells us, it gives us idea, epsilon naught gives us idea that how many electric field lines can pass through certain dielectric, right? For example, if I have a capacitor plate without any dielectric, and then electric field comes out to be, let us say, E. Then with dielectric, what happens? It becomes E by K. And K refers to nothing but epsilon will become epsilon naught into epsilon R, or I can say it is epsilon naught into K. So indirectly, what is epsilon representing? Epsilon is representing, it is giving us information of dielectric field lines which can pass through a dielectric. Similarly, this gives us information about the magnetic field lines that can pass through a magnetic material. Okay, there are different possible values of it. So anyway, for the time being, just to treat it as a constant. We will study about it in detail later on. And you just remember the value of the constant. Mu naught will be equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7, or mu naught upon 4 pi will be equal to 10 to the power minus 7 in SI units. Okay. This is enough. We can get the, yes.
For short dipole only we use 2 kp by r cube and kp by r cube now, sir.
For which we use 2k, for that, for electric field we use 2 kp by
R cube for short
2
dipole now, sir.
kp. Yes, short dipole. This is also short only.
Pi minus x
Okay.
per.
This is only for short only. Okay. Not for large. Means, what do we mean by short dipole? Short dipole means if it is a charge sphere, then if I start finding out field,
Also,
somebody is talking, who is talking between. If I start finding field at a very close point, then this will not be a right expression. This expression is right if we are at finding at a large distance, small r, as compared to radius of sphere. R should be large as compared to radius of sphere. That is true. Okay. This is also valid for small magnetic dipoles, we can say, or small current carrying loops. If I have a small current carrying loop, shape doesn't matter. Let us say I have a current carrying loop like this, and they are giving us its area A, whatever shape it may be having. All I can do is I can find out its magnetic dipole moment by knowing the area vector. Let us say it comes out to be this. Once I know the magnetic dipole moment, and now I go from here at a very large distance perpendicularly, then I have to use which formula? Obviously, I have to use magnetic moment is I into area. I have to use K into M by R cube with minus sign. Minus is indicating field will be downwards. That will be filled here. That will be filled. How the field lines will be? If I draw the field lines, let me draw the field lines also. You will understand it better, I think. If I have a real magnet, not just a magnetic dipole, let us say north and south pole is there. And in that magnetic field lines will be like this, starting from north, entering into south. Do you know about it or not?
Yes, sir.
Starting from north and entering into south. Starting from north and entering into south. And inside this will be going from south to north. Magnetic field lines will form closed loop, remember. Magnetic field lines will always form closed loop. Inside also they will be existing, but inside they will be from south to north. Okay. And one more thing now, what is the direction of magnetic dipole moment? Direction of magnetic dipole moment will be from south to north. This is magnetic dipole moment. The same way, treat it like negative charge, treat it like positive charge, as if it is positive magnetic charge and as if it is negative magnetic charge. But there is no such magnetic charges actually, because if it is really a magnetic charge, then the field inside also will be from positive to negative. But here we are noticing only from outside it is from positive to negative, but inside it is going from negative to positive, and it is forming a closed loop. In electrostatics, this case is different from electrostatics. In electrostatics, what happens? There are really two charges,
Open loops.
and field always goes from positive to negative charge. It is never a closed loop. It is never forming a closed loop. This field comes from here and ends here, and then there is another field which is coming this side. That happens in electrostatics, but in magnetostatics or in magnetic field, this does not happen. It will be forming a closed loop this way. Now you can see from here, we can get an idea that magnetic dipole moment was upwards, but magnetic field at equatorial point is coming out to be downwards. This just you will remember in this way. If M is upwards, then at equatorial point, magnetic field will be downwards. And if I take at axial point, then it will be in the same direction as M. At this point, what will be the field? M is this side, field will also be that side only if I draw field here at this point. Similarly, at this point, I draw same side only. Okay. By the way, magnetic dipole moment is also defined as this magnetic charge M multiplied by the distance between the charges L. Now you may think, what is this magnetic charge? Actually, there are no magnetic charges, but just because we want this case to be appearing to be exactly same as Q into, there we define like this or not? Charge into distance between the charges. We want this case to appear like that only exactly. So what we do, we define magnetic charges unnecessarily, even though they don't exist. And we call these the magnetic charges, we give different name. We call these as pole strength. What we call this as? M is referred to as pole strength. So how do we define this? First, we find out the magnetic moment and we know the length of this. Then magnetic moment per unit length we can define as pole strength. Now you may ask me, how do you find out the magnetic dipole moment? There are different ways. One way is experimentally we can determine. How? Find out the field here at a distance r. After finding the field, we can get from here the idea by applying the formula. What is the formula? Km by r cube. We know the field value, we can find out m. That will be experimental way to determine m. Okay. So this way we can determine m. Once we know m, we can define the pole strength. Just to make the formula look exactly symmetric, exactly like electrostatics. That is the reason. Okay. Now, one more thing
Sir,
here I want to
sir.
say, how the, yes.
Sir, in electrostatics, we derive short dipole using electric field intensity, no, sir.
Yes.
Here we have to, how you derive, sir, this magnetic moment?
Wait,
2 kb by
wait a
r
second.
cube.
Coming to that. I will tell you how we derive it.
Here
But
we
this
don't
is
know
the unfortunate
magnetic
thing. That's
field, na,
why I
sir.
said, please listen. Wait, have patience. That's why I said this is a wrong way of how they have put the schedule, and I don't usually teach in this way. If you see by last year's class notes, even though they keep the schedule in which they have to, we have to first teach magnetic force. I start with Biott's separate law. First, I teach magnetic field. But this time I got worried. I thought mostly what happens, my students, they get less marks in the exam because I will be teaching magnetic field and they will be asking magnetic force also. So in the last few days, I will be teaching magnetic force. So this time I thought maybe I will stick according to the schedule and I will start teaching about magnetic force first and then I will go to the magnetic field. So if I would have started with magnetic field first and then I would have taught you magnetic force, all these things would be clarified directly only. But right now, you just have patience. We know magnetic field. There are definite formula for magnetic field. There is a Biot-Savart law for that. And we can determine magnetic field due to a current carrying wire. Once we can determine due to a current carrying wire, then we can determine due to a current carrying loop. Once we can determine due to a current carrying loop, then we can determine due to magnet also, because a magnet is composed of several tiny current carrying loops. Electrons are orbiting around the nucleus. So they are also forming the current carrying loops. And if we know due to each current carrying loop, I can find out due to the total current carrying loop like this. Understood? At least you have some idea that there are ways to get it because we know what is the magnetic field due to a current carrying element. Once we know due to a simple IDL, then I can find out due to the total infinite wire, or I can find out due to any shape, rectangular wire frame, or due to circular wire frame. We can do all this. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you have to be patient because we have to wait for this. Next week, all these things will be, all these mysteries will be resolved. Okay. For the time being, you just understand that we are trying to make it perfectly symmetric so that it looks like electrostatics. And in fact, if it is M, we can then find out field in this way also by writing Km by R square formula. Although we are going backwards here, in reality, M does not exist. What exists? In reality, capital M exists. And for capital M, we define small m. Once we have defined small m, then I can find out the magnetic field due to separate dipoles, and I can add those and I can get the vector sum, and that will come out to be B. It is just a mathematical trick, but it is not a real physics. In physical way, it does not make any sense. What is M? Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. Now come back to this. Anyway, this came by R cube. Okay, fine. One question which was there, let me take that one also. Viscous force based question. Let me take a pause for some time and then after that I will explain. Question number, this one, 18th one. In a region of space, uniform magnetic field of induction minus B k cap is established. A particle moving with velocity v in the region experiences a viscous drag minus kV. So means one additional force is there other than B. There is additional force that is minus kV. What will be the net force now? So net force, I think we can write as
root over
QV cross
square S.
QV cross B plus, not plus, minus kV. That is the net force. And are these two forces perpendicular to each other or not? Yes.
It's
How?
perpendicular.
Because
It is tangent
this is
to by.
perpendicular to
Always.
velocity.
Yes,
This
sir.
is against velocity. If I say velocity is in one direction, then V cross B will be definitely perpendicular to that. And minus kV will be definitely opposite to that. Then I notice that these two forces will become perpendicular to each other. Then resultant will be obtained by Pythagoras theorem, we can obtain. But actually, if we do that, then this becomes more complicated. Let me give you easy way. What we want to find? Displacement, right? And this is now very surprising and is good method that we don't have to even do that. What we're going to do here, we need to do this. Find out the impulse. Why is it difficult question to answer? Why is it difficult? If you don't know this key step involved here, it will be complicated. I'm not saying you cannot do by that method. You try that method also. I think some long integration you will have to do, and maybe you will be getting answer finally by a very lengthy procedure. But this will be so easy if I just find impulse. Why? What motivates me to find out the impulse? Impulse means F into dt. What I want? Displacement. And in displacement means I want v into dt. So don't you think that multiplying by dt will serve the purpose? If I multiply dt here, multiply dt here, then I will be able to get the displacement in right hand side. And impulse I can get easily because I know that initial velocity was given as mv, initial momentum was given as mv, and final moment, sorry, mu, initially given as m into ui cap, and finally 0. So change in momentum will be impulse. 0 minus m into ui is the impulse, which I know. So even though I don't know what is f, but I still know what is impulse. That is change in linear momentum. Understood? I can write it as minus mu I cap. But on the right hand side, I will be getting qv cross b into dt integral minus kv into dt integral, which will be, I think, minus k into s displacement, right? V into dt is displacement. What about this term? Luckily, v is constant. B is constant here. If b is constant, then I can do this thing also.
Out of that.
I don't have to change the order of the cross product. I cannot change. Otherwise, I have to put negative sign outside. But I can do this way. And what is v dt again? S. So what does it become? Qs cross b minus ks is equal to minus of m into u into I cap. What is b? B is given as minus b k cap. So minus b k cap cross, this is qs here, minus k into s, and that is equal to minus m into u into I. What is it then? We are getting SS. I think we can get it now or not. Let me check once. Although there is just one unknown here, and that unknown is S only. I think I can get S. I know how, you know how. I know this equation should be having component along I cap. So what should I do so that this resultant comes out to be along I cap? You have to just think in that direction only. Again, I can use that trick now. This is perpendicular to S or not? Tell me. Is it perpendicular to S?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Cross product is always
Perpendicular to that vector.
Product of two vectors. Cross product of two vectors is perpendicular to both vectors. Means I can tell that this is perpendicular to S as well as K cap. In which plane it will lie? It will lie in XY plane. What components S will have? S will have two components. One will be along I cap and other will be along J cap, right? Because it should lie in, no, this whole vector should lie in XY plane.
Yes,
And
sir.
the displacement was also in that plane only, I think so.
Actually,
So this
displacement
vector also
was in
lies
the
in
XY plane.
Displacement is also in XY plane. This is also in XY plane. And right. And then I think after that we can get the value of displacement, proper displacement. Can we get it or not? Magnitude we are already getting. If you just want to find out magnitude, then we are already getting. In fact, we can write it as SB QSB square plus S square is equal to M into U square. So what is S coming out to be? Why I am doing this? Because this is perpendicular to this. If these are two perpendicular ones, then we can use Pythagoras theorem. So that's why I can do that. So I get S as Q square B square. K is also there. K square plus K square. And this will go to the denominator. And mu square will come in the numerator. And divide and take root. This is the answer. If you have Pathfinder, you can check it there. It is the answer. I'm sure about it. But anyway, I want to do it better. I just don't want to find out the magnitude. I want to find out with proper sign.
Direction.
So directions. For direction, what I need to do? I need to write S as Sx I cap plus Sy j cap plus Sz k cap. Let us write in that way.
SJ don't be there.
Yes, sir.
Then I get
Will be
minus mu. We will come
Sir, SJ don't.
to know soon what is there and what is not there. We will come to know soon. Minus mu I cap is equal to what is the other side? Qs cross. Q into Sx I cap plus Sy j cap plus Sz k cap cross of minus bk and plus, not plus, minus
minus K.
minus k into S. S means again same thing. S is again Sx I cap, Sy j cap and Sz k cap. Now please, how many questions do we
Compare.
here? Don't think there is one equation. There are three equations. A single vector equation is equivalent to three equations because we can separately compare along I cap, separately
Compare
along j
along
cap, and
Y.
separately along k cap. Component wise. Comparing component wise, we get three equations. We get three equations in three variables, and we will get Sx, Sy, and Sz. So let us first compare along x-axis. Along x-axis, right side, left side minus mu, right side q. I cross k will not be along x. K cross k will be 0. J cross k. Jk is I minus q into Sy into b. I don't know it is right or not. Sy into b into q, and minus is also there. J cross k is I. Correct only?
Yes, sir.
Right or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And next is minus k into Sx into I. So I cap we can just get away with, and we can just write m into u minus is equal to minus q into Sy into b minus k into Sx, or minus minus will also be plus only. This is first equation. Now write along y-axis. Along y-axis, what is our equation? Left hand side term is 0. Right hand side term. Right hand side term is I think I cross k. I cross k will give us I cross minus k. I cross minus k will give us plus j.
J cap.
Q Sx into b. J cap. Next is minus k Sy. Minus
Sir,
k
diagonal, sir.
Sy along j cap. That is second one. So I can just write it as q Sx b minus k Sy. This is our second equation. Now come to the third one along k cap. Along k cap, that will be 0 equals k cap we will get by q
0 only will get, sir.
Sx.
0, sir.
How?
K cap into K cap.
Minus S3 K only one, sir.
Sir, left
0
hand
equal to
side,
0.
there is no 0, and this side also it will be 0 only.
Okay, I understood why we are getting 0 equal to 0.
0.
Because I don't need Sz. I need two equations and two variables actually. Sy Sx, Sy Sx. These two will be sufficient to get the answer. Sz will come out to be 0. I think here we will get Sz. Are we not getting Sz also?
Getting, sir. Minus z equals 0. Z equals 0.
Sz is equal to 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Right.
840, sir.
Man means I'm just directly skipping the steps, skipping few steps and then writing directly. Directly answer is 0 will be Sz anyway. Then this is our third. We don't need Sz. We need only 1 and 2. What is the answer? Tell me now. What is Sx and what is Sy? Solve these two
Sx is
equations.
mu,
Sx
Sx
is
is
mu
mu k by q square b
To b
square plus
square plus k square.
Mu divided by
mu
To b
k,
whole
sir.
square.
Sx
mu
is
k
equal
by
to mu divided by
mu k, sir. K mu.
MUK.
By QB
That only?
whole square.
MUK?
Yes, sir. QB whole square plus K square.
K square.
Plus K square
Yes, sir.
under the root, or
That's
No,
it,
sir.
sir.
That's it.
and what is SY?
Under root won't be there.
No root, sir.
Under root won't be there.
Won't be there, sir.
Okay, fine.
Mu into QB by
And next,
QB whole square plus K
Yeah,
square.
mu into q by k square plus q square b square.
okay. Next is MU into K by
Mu into
QB.
QB by sir.
MU into QB.
QB.
M into qb.
QB. Numerator is
Sir,
M into QB.
Sir, mu into
Mu
qb.
into QB sir. Numerator.
Sir, numerator mu qb.
Divide by
QB whole
qb
square
whole
plus
square plus k square.
K square.
B square.
K square, huh?
U in the numerator.
That is SY.
Mu sir.
Which will be numerator?
S
U.
by numerator mu also, sir. U.
U is also there. MU.
Yes, sir.
So this is our result. And finally, we are getting SX I cap and SY J cap. So finally, I can take MU common, and I can take QB square plus K square common. Inside, we are getting just K I cap plus QB J cap. That is the net displacement vector. Right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we are getting the result. We are getting the net displacement vector. This was slightly tough. I think you would have faced difficulty doing yourself. Mainly reason is we don't get this idea that mostly we will think directly how to find out the displacement. But if we think here, that displacement comes automatically once we find out the impulse. That is the main idea. But if I don't give you final velocity as 0, I ask you displacement up to the instant, displacement up to the instant when velocity becomes half of this. Then what do you need to do here? You have to write U here, U by 2, right or not?
Direction,
Limits
sir.
will be, means not here U and U, but direction will be different. Yes, sorry, that will be difficulty there, right? We can't decide then so easily. Then there will be difficulty. I have to write UX I cap plus UY J cap. I know it will not be along K cap. That will be the, let us say, velocity finally. Initially is U I cap. Then I will have to get, there will be 2 unknowns extra. How many unknowns will be there now? 2 extra unknowns. So in that case, how to solve it?
Sir, first magnitude of S and second magnitude different getting, sir. Getting different.
Final minus initial velocity I will take here. Okay. And I know final is UF. This is given to us. This is not unknown. It will be given, but they will not be giving us I cap and J cap. They will be giving us the final magnitude. Means they will be giving us this thing. The final magnitude is UX square plus UY square is equal to, let us say, U by 2. It is given to us. Okay. And I also know that velocity is equal to, it could be UX I cap plus UY J cap, but there will not be any K cap term. So 2 unknowns are there. One equation we have already obtained, which is this. Do I need one more equation now? I think I need one more equation. Or maybe if we solve, I think this may be sufficient.
Sir, time completed.
Sir, can we
Time
find
is
what
over.
is the path traveled by the particle, sir?
Can we find out
Path.
the path traveled by? Yes, I think it will be some spiral kind of path. Like if we throw it with
Relation
some
between
speed,
y and x
the speed is decreasing. It will try to curve. It will try to curve down, but the speed is also decreasing. It will be some path like this.
Into 1 point,
spiral
sir.
kind of
1
path.
point.
This way. It will finally get into 1 point. But exactly if you want the locus of that path, It may be slightly complicated. I can try. I will think about it, and then I will tell you if we can find it out. Okay. You also try yourself. Maybe we can find it out. Okay. Let us end it now. Let us end it now.
Sir, afternoon there is a class.
No, there is not class. You do it yourself now, and I have told you which questions to do, and moreover, solutions are also given. You can attempt yourself also. Before these Pathfinder questions, if you want, you can do previous IIT questions first. That is the first preference. Okay. In Pathfinder, you do objectives only first. If you want to do objectives, are enough for today.
Okay.